So I've been to Bodh Gaya around 17 times or 18 times. I keep trying to recall how many times I've been there, but can't seem to figure out whether it's 17 or 18 times. The reason why I'm talking about Bodh Gaya today is because that's my favorite place on planet Earth. As a kid also, I have lots of fond memories of Bodh Gaya. But later on in life also, after my spiritual pursuit of doing my Nyendro and all of that, I always found it enriching to go to Bodh Gaya. I remember when I was in class 12, one of the essay topics was about writing what is your favorite place, and I had chosen Bodh Gaya. While I was writing that essay, I remember thinking that, wow, the power of one man, of Prince Siddhartha, 600 years ago, having sat down under the peepal tree, and that power of one man brings people from different countries, different nationalities, different religious beliefs. So I feel like Bodh Gaya is a testament of what one man can achieve. But today, what I wanted to talk about Bodh Gaya is not about how amazing a place Bodh Gaya is, but about a conversation I had with a bhikshu, a monk, an Indian monk under the Bodhi tree. Hello, my name is Karma Dendrup, and this is another Wednesday. So for those of you who have been following me, you know that every Wednesday I do a video called #MyTake. Today the alphabet that we've reached is U, and the topic that I'm going to talk about is unhappiness. This happened close to 23 or 4 years ago. I had just completed my Nyendro in Dagana, and that winter I was sitting there under the Bodhi tree, and I noticed an Indian monk, a bhikshu. And by then I was over my teenage, so I was also over many of my inhibitions and my insecurities. So I struck up a conversation with him. And I remember asking him how he became a monk and how long has he been a monk, and what are his realizations and understanding. And cut a long story short, it turned out that he was a householder before. He had a wife, he had 2 kids, and sadly, he lost his wife to a disease, and over time 2 of his children also died. And finally, with the death of his last child, he decided to renounce worldly life and he became a monk. And to my question of asking him what was his realization or what has he been able to understand in following the Buddha's path, he said in over 20 years of being a bhikshu, the one thing that he holds very dear and one thing that he felt is the most powerful message of the Buddha was the first noble truth, the truth of suffering. And he said that he realized that dukkha is real. And I remember thinking in my egotistical young man's mind of being an enthusiastic spiritual practitioner, I remember thinking that, this is so simple, that because I took pride in myself for being a Vajrayana practitioner, because here in Bhutan what we have, Drupakaju, Abid, Nyingma, Shacha, Gilup, it's classified within the Buddhist tradition as being Vajrayana, and it's supposed to be the highest vehicle. So I remember egotistically, with a sense of pride and a little bit of smirk, thinking that, after 20 years of being a practitioner, of being a bhikshu, a monk, all he could realize was only the first noble truth. And that was it, that conversation. But over time, I have kept going back to that conversation, especially when my vision loss was when it first hit me 2 years back. And again, that conversation came to mind. And even in the immediate aftermath of that conversation, I remember thinking that it was wrong of me to think that after so many years, all he understood was the truth of suffering. The difference between him and me at that point in time was I intellectually understood what suffering is. I could say that, okay, kega nashi, old age, being born is suffering, old age is suffering, being sick is suffering, dying is suffering, getting what you don't want is suffering, not getting what you want is suffering. So I was able to intellectually understand what suffering is, while that bhikshu, he had realized it to the core of his being. But for the vast majority of us, life is difficult. But having said that, it gets more difficult in our pursuit of trying to avoid being unhappy. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to talk about unhappiness, because I think while we know sorrow, pain, and we classify it as suffering, in a very simplistic way, since this is my take, in my take about suffering is just the absence of happiness. And while we as a nation are on the pursuit of gross national happiness, happiness for all, and I feel that it should also include animals which are born in Bhutan, I think we have to make friends with suffering. Now, hang on. I'm not saying that, you need to go and search for suffering. I mean, throughout the length of a day, even if you try your best to avoid suffering, pain, sorrow is going to find its way into your life. But what I'm trying to get at is that once you accept that there is suffering in life, and I feel in my limited understanding that when the Buddha spoke about the truth of suffering, he was not trying to make us feel depressed. He was not trying to tell us to go through the day mopping and looking at everything and feeling bad about yourself. And in fact, when you follow the life of the Buddha, one of the things that you come across as a big message which he gives just before his passing is a message that he gives to householders, to all of us lay people, where he says that when you wake up in the morning, be grateful, or when you go to sleep at night, you be grateful for the fact that even if things didn't go in your favor, at least you're not sick. Even if you're sick, at least you're not dead. The message that he conveys across to householders, which is separate from what he gives to the monastics, is about being grateful. And even in Vajrayana Buddhism, there is Lodo Namji, which is supposed to be like the 4 thoughts which turn your mind away from samsara. If you start studying it, then the first Lodo, the first thought which is supposed to turn your mind away from suffering, away from samsara, is supposed to be Deljonika. How I translate Deljonika is appreciation and gratitude for life. And that's what I wanted to talk about.